Hello, everyone. It's been 6 weeks, but we're back.
Has it really been 6 weeks?
It's been six
That's
weeks.
disgusting.
It is. I think it might have been more than I don't actually.
I don't know.
It might
It's
be
been
more.
a long time.
It has been a while, but we are back to start round 2 of this bracket. We're in a new place. As you can see, we have a new setup, new place, new everything. But before we get into this bracket, Taylor, how are you?
Well, I've watched him almost like yeet a chair out the balcony trying to build a second chair. Watched him almost take this whole setup and just yeet it along with it, trying to get the audio to work. So, we're starting off like it can only go up from here, basically. So that's which it won't, because I know what the lineup this week looks like, and it's gonna be all bad.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be a great time.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very excited.
Mm-hmm.
Mara, how are you?
I think I accidentally huffed super glue because I craggled my not brand name Lego Halo Infinite Elite Energy Sword today because it is just fragile as fuck. And so I'm sick and tired of it almost breaking all the time. So I craggled it, but it took a long time and it took a lot of super glue, and it's a small space. And I think I didn't say no to drugs.
Well, Adam, Marisol, how are we?
My lady.
I was great, and I was enjoying this long, drawn-out vacation before this week of death, where all my favorite movies of this decade go against each other. You just really drew it out here, so thanks. I'm great.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. Adam?
Yeah, no, I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I had a thought that escaped me, but it'll come back once the rage kicks in with the bracket, I'm sure. But it's good to see everybody again. Good to see you guys situated in your new habitat and all that good stuff. Hopefully you're not getting cooked alive.
Not yet.
Seriously.
Thank God.
We're doing all right.
We're doing
I keep checking
okay.
weather reports worrying about you too.
I mean, it's not been it's not been cold. I'll say that. But it's been.
See, the thing is, we're existing in the 105 to 108 category most of the time, instead of being in the 115, 120s. So in the middle of July, I consider that a win.
Yeah.
I consider that a win.
The look on Marisol's face when you were like, oh, it's a nice, cool
it's only 105.
Triple-digit day, yeah.
That's a leisurely walk in the park day for us, because usually mid-July, you're sitting at 115 and you're please God, let me die.
They decided to bust the heat record when I was there, so they decided to cool off after I left.
Well, not only that, we moved on a 116, 117 day with
fun.
40 or 50% humidity.
Yeah.
So that was an intelligent decision.
But anyway,
speaking of intelligent decisions, I'm going to give everyone a preview. These are the movies that we will be discussing today. Before Midnight, Drive, Crazy Rich Asians, The Farewell, Game Night, How to Train Your Dragon, Inside Llewyn Davis, It, La La Land, Parasite, Pain and Glory, Ready or Not, Rocket Man, Whiplash, The World's End, and Zero Dark 30.
I'm so upset about this already. This is disgusting.
By the end of tonight, only 4 will remain. 16 enter, 4 will remain. Let us begin.
Tomorrow, I have to be up at 4:30 for work tomorrow. I can't be drinking my way through this when my sorrows are what? This is going to be so bad.
Let us begin our first matchup.
No.
Parasite versus Drive, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
It's good to be back, Chloe.
Yeah. I've exited the chat.
Mara, I'm going to let these guys stew on this a little bit longer.
Why? Because I'm decisive.
Yeah, I'll let you begin. Kick us off.
I don't even feel bad. For me, this was not a tough choice. Um, I really enjoy both the films. I do think that one of them, maybe part of it is just how you're exposed to something. I think there's always something to be said for what is the way in which something is introduced to you. But I think there's no matter how you're exposed to something, what it is, that product and what it's made from is still going to be the thing that ultimately that's the lasting impact of it. Um, Parasite is a movie that I went into. I had no clue what it was. I was like, oh, it is it is a Korean film from director Bong. And I was like, oh, that's wonderful, cool. What great. The roller coaster ride I went on with the movie, completely unprepared for. I don't frequently get surprised by plot points in movies. I didn't see the things coming in the movie. It's not really super recent, but I don't really want to say too much about the end because just in case someone hasn't seen it, because foreign films are still somewhat inaccessible for people, I don't really want to say anything, but there's a person that we're like, what the hell? Still didn't see that coming. And the aftermath of it. But the social commentary, I just think there's so much to be said for how much it has to say. All of his movies have something to say, but Drive is super dramatic and intense and very, very entertaining. But I like it, and it does have intense themes, but I just really can't get over just the universality of the fact that Parasite will never cease to be relevant because we're always going to have classism and we're always going to have stratification of wealth in society. And I mean, hopefully even the wealthy can find something to glean from watching that, even if it's just entertainment value. But yeah, no, for me, this just wasn't a hard choice. So I'm going to go with Parasite.
I'm going to tie it all back up. I really love Parasite. I think Love Parasite is a fantastic movie, but there's just something about the visceralness of Drive and the quietness as well. That's so unique and different about this movie in particular. That I just absolutely love, and I really love Ryan Gosling's performance. It's probably the best Albert Brooks has ever been as well. Like, he's genuinely terrifying, but not in a showy or menace or a typical kind of way. He's menacing while also being a real human being. It's you look at him as someone who my favorite line of his is when I was so excited for this, when he's about to, towards the end of the movie, when he's about to do something to Bryan Cranston, and he was just talking, I was so excited about the race car. And you can see the pain and the hurt in his eyes. I just really love this movie. And yeah, so I'm going to go with Drive. Taylor? Not ready yet?
I don't know. Okay. All right. I'm going to try and talk my way through this. Yeah, it's kind of a weird matchup because they're both movies that I haven't seen repeatedly. Like, I haven't seen either of them a bunch of times. So it's not kind of one of those situations where I'm like, oh, I just watch them both all the time and I just don't know what I want to go with. I think it's interesting because they're both so intense for different reasons. And they're both so stylized in different ways. I think I really appreciate Drive because of its style. I think it's so interesting and so memorable. And I think that the performances are amazing. I think, you watch it and you go, yeah, Ryan Gosling and Carey Mulligan and Oscar Isaac, no wonder they're still just powerhouse actors right now. Like, no wonder that even whatever it was, like 13 years ago, something like, you can see even back then, like, why they're still around and putting in amazing work now. has one of the best movie jackets of all time. You got to give it points for that. Parasite, I have a really interesting relationship with. We saw it super late to the game. Like, we saw it after basically everyone else on the planet had been raving about it. And we had gone to our local cinema, and it had broken the record of that cinema for how long like a movie was there just playing continuously. And so we did still get to see it in a theater, which was really cool. And we went in knowing absolutely nothing. Yeah. And so that was a really weird experience. It was really like, we didn't know hype was so big that even though it was great, I walked out just like not knowing how I felt about it. I hate that. I hate when I like let myself get hyped up. And usually if that happens, I'll make myself wait. I'll be like, okay, I'm too hyped about something. People have too many opinions. I'll wait like a year before I watch it. But that kind of really wasn't an option for us with Parasite. So I had weird like feelings about it leaving the theater. But it's a movie that like I just think about still. Like, it'll just, even though I haven't rewatched it, it'll still just come up. Like, and I'll find myself thinking about it every once in a while. And like, you know, I think about my experience with watching the Oscars that year. And like, even though it wasn't my favorite movie of the year, like just being really invested in its success. So this one's tough for me because I think maybe there's one I like personally like more, but I don't know if that's the one I should choose. Like, it's a weird thing. This sucks. This is not how I want to start off this night.
We're back.
I know.
Should have saved all those clips from the last 6 weeks of Marisol saying, "I miss this show. I miss it. I miss doing this. I miss this," and then I can just play them back and say, "You said you missed doing this."
Oh, I lied. You said.
I pulled a Marisol and I hoped that like talking my way through it was gonna like help me get to an answer.
Spoiler alert, it did not.
It didn't do that at all.
Completed the circle.
This is so bad. Which one am I going to regret not voting for at this point? I'm going to vote for Drive.
Whoa.
I don't feel good about it, but that's what I'm doing.
Marisol, do you want to go? Do you want the potential deciding vote, or do you want to cause a potential deciding vote?
I'm gonna cause it. I cannot. Maybe Nate. Let me just think this out. Like, I'm so chicken shit here in this situation. I have no idea what to pick. These are two of my absolute favorite. I think these are defining films of the decade. I think these are some of the best examples of film. I'll just go. Fuck it. I'm talking. I'll just go. I'll just go. Let's see what happens. Let's open this up and see what happens. I like, these are some of the best examples of two kind of different forms of how the power of filmmaking. Like, one is just so primal and so stripped and kind of the epitome of what everybody, you know, we've always heard, it's style over substance, whatever. Drive is an example of how you do that, and you turn it into pure art and pure cinema. And yes, you can argue style over substance, except when the style is this definitive, this iconic, this searing, this measured, this skillful, with the skill in front of and behind the camera with Drive. This is absolutely the best movie that Nicholas Winding Refn has made. I think so, for sure. And it's evident. I think that when you capture something that you just feel it you just understand it the way that you felt about like Mandy and that stuff like that. I think Drive is another one of those movies that you just feel it on such a primal level that this movie, if they wanted to take it to the level, this movie could have almost been, I think Drive could have functioned dialogue free and been just as impactful. That's how much I think the power of the style, the visuals, visual storytelling is in this film. And then you also have Parasite here, which is the epitome of using filmmaking to tell a timeless, to tell some kind of parable that is timeless, to explain something that is true no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, that is a bleak and universal truth that connects all of us, that is what the best Kubrick movies always did, which Parasite reminds me of the best work of Stanley Kubrick, which always reminds you of just the darkest places humanity can go that is inside all of us when we kind of shed the veneer and skip past the BS and realize that, as Parasite reminds us, that at the end of the day, especially as capitalism rules our lives, that at the end of the day, that even the people at the bottom will literally kill each other just to get a piece, just to get a glimmer of like sunshine, a piece of the sweet life, a piece of something on top, and that we all pull ourselves down to the same level, no matter what class you're from. That how that all disappears. I think that it's so searing, the message in Parasite, and the way that story plays out visually. I will never forget the imagery in that movie, just the face on the stairs, when he peeks up over the stairs, the dark doorway leading to the basement, just the horror aspects just layered in with Parasite, how deftly all the genres are blended. I think this is just such an all-timer. I hate comparing these two. Again, I talked it out and didn't come to a conclusion about it. And so I'm going to pull the chicken shit move and just take it out of my hands, because you know what? These movies both win in my heart, in my mind, because they're some of the best, the absolute two best of the decades. And this could be a final and I would love it. So I'm going to just Parasite to just make it, to just put it in your hands.
All right, Adam. Deciding vote.
Okay, cool. Yes, these are two great movies from the 2010s. I'm very happy with both of them. I think both of these directors should be proud. There you go.
It's a tie. Oh, there you go. And ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in the bracket show history, it's a tie.
I agree with all the praise on both sides. I think Drive is an unexpectedly good. I didn't really have. I remember when the trailer came out, I was like, "Oh, it looks neat," and then it came out, and I was like, "There's more to this than meets the eye." And I still maintain that it's like a really, really great, like stripped down, dramatic remake of Roadhouse, and I will maintain that, because like we have a remake of Roadhouse now, and that's a separate conversation we'll get to in the 2020s bracket. I'm sure. Yeah.
We're in for a rough decade if Roadhouse is making that.
You're gonna put that in the wild card round against like every Scream sequel or something. But no, I think Drive is actually, it does have a lot of thematic parallels with Roadhouse, coincidentally. And it's also, it works on a dramatic level. And then Parasite is like this modern almost Dickensian type classism story, which I love. And I think it's really interesting that you look at something like this and then like the success of Squid Game, which are both really focused on debt and class and all these things. And that's not unique to South Korea, as we know. Mm-hmm. It's a very universal message. And I think that's why Parasite is going to continue to age well. It's going to stand outside of its time, as will Drive. Completely irrelevant, but like my mind wandered for a second. I was thinking about like the Finding Nemo movies, and how like part of me does kind of want to see Ellen DeGeneres play like a mob boss, like who like slits throats. Like that would be really scary. I'm not saying that because like I think she needs to win an Oscar, but I think she would be scary in a movie. It's completely irrelevant.
Let's
but-
not give terrible people work.
Yeah. Look. I'm just saying, if she played a mob boss, I might buy it. Beyond that, these are both great movies. I think they're going to continue to be discussed for many years. But I will rip off the Band-Aid, and I will also vote for Parasite because it's just it's really something else.
Mhm.
And we'll continue to discuss it.
All right. Well, with that, Parasite moves on to
can
the
live with that.
next round.
I can live with that. I was going to
All
die
right.
with Sophie's choice. It was Sophie's choice, but you know what? Sophie made her choice.
Well, next up, we have another Ryan Gosling movie, It versus La La Land.
Okay.
I'm gonna go first.
All right, Taylor.
I'm gonna go first because this is an immediate. I know
Taylor's
my
taking
answer.
her earrings out right
I don't
now.
need to think about it. So I'm just gonna go first, so everyone else can have their crisis because I don't.
Here
need
comes
to have a
Taylor's vote
crisis.
for It. Here it comes.
The only reason I've seen it is sitting next to me,
It's SOB.
and I don't ever need to see it again. Probably. Also, not super relevant, but super relevant. I've also been forced to go through a fright, like what is it? The Hollywood,
Hollywood
Horror Nights equivalent of an It maze, and thought I was gonna die. Seeing that many clowns that look like Pennywise that close to me in real time. So that whole nightmare factory needs to stay as far away from me as possible. Yeah. That being said, no one's gonna be shocked to hear that I'm gonna vote for La La Land. If you are, you've never like talked to me or looked at my letterboxd or my social media or like been anywhere near me as a human being. So I'm gonna vote for La La Land. I'm gonna keep my voting for Ryan Gosling theme going. I'm probably gonna keep the theme going where I watch it die a fiery death in front of me again, but that's fine. Yeah, La La Land is my vote. I'm not gonna go on and on about it because I don't need to. People understand where I'm coming from with it, and if they don't, we can talk some other time. Hit me up. I'll talk your ear off about La La Land.
Mara?
So it's not that this is tough. It's just what an interesting pairing. It's just two really, really different things. I gotta say my rationale is probably, I don't know, people might say it's nonsensical. But I'm gonna vote for It, even though I very notoriously love La La Land. My reasoning being that my minor grievances with La La Land are more bothersome to me than, and I was so incredibly surprised because every single thing that I was seeing prior to it coming out, I was like, this is going to be a fucking disaster. And I am not prepared. I'm very, very disappointed that this is happening. This is Hollywood at its worst. Shameless cash grab of established property that's already been, turned into a thing before that, like, why are we doing this? Especially, oh my God, the dancing, like the thing when he
Dancing
was kicking
Pennywise.
and yeah, I was just like, oh my God, my childhood's ruined. Because a cherished part of my childhood trauma is Tim Curry as Pennywise, and I don't ever want to get rid of that trauma. I'm going to keep that one forever. Yes.
They even have the VHS on the DVD, which I like. The VHS that he's tearing out of, they maintain that, which is wonderful.
Love it. But I mean, there were just so many things about it that should not have worked. I really do think that it did an excellent job of trying to be greater than the sum of its parts, especially as a 21st century horror movie that are typically so dependent on only jump scares. I do think it was as atmospheric as the book tried to be. I like that they still kept out some of the more risque and ridiculous elements of the book, as they should. And I think that it's actually a better overall adaptation. I think it was really well cast, well directed. I was shocked. I was incredibly shocked. I think the sequel kind of lets down a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that. That's not why we're here. Now, La La Land. I'm a sucker for a musical, such a sucker for a musical. But my minor grievances being that I know that they wanted to just cast the A-list. I totally get that. But there's like a huge difference between a musical like West Side Story, where you cast somebody who is an established like live performing singer dancer person, and other dancer people and other singer people, and Hollywood A-listers that are, for example, Emma Stone can sing, but they just didn't write songs in her best register except for the one really good one. And you have, them that are just doing their darndest and doing a very passable job. But like, as a trained dancer, it does pain me a little bit to watch them dance. And again, that doesn't diminish my enjoyment of the movie as a movie, but like, it's just, when I'm looking at it, the things that impressed me so much about how surprising I was by it outweigh, like, it tips the scale for me, because the nitpicks that I have from like an artistic perspective of money, they had to make sure they made money, making La La Land, and how they cast it, maybe not casting the best people for the job, but the people that would make the most money for the job, kind of bothers me a little bit. So yeah, I'm going to vote for it.
Adam?
Well, disclaimer, and I'm not going to go get the proof right now because it's not worth it. Just take my word for it. But I have both of these soundtracks on vinyl. We've jammed out to them together. Mm-hmm. She loves rocking out to some Benjamin Wallfish. Isn't that right, baby?
He's my boy.
Yeah. No, seriously. The score to it is quite good, and the score and soundtrack to La La Land are also very good.
Oh yeah.
I like La La Land a lot, and I enjoy the version of it we're discussing as well. Obviously, I outed myself as a original miniseries fan, and I think I'm gonna go to bat to have an exception made for a TV movie when we get to the 90s bracket, but we'll talk about that offline. It was shot on film. We'll talk. Anyway, don't roll your eyes that hard at me, Jacob. I gotta teach these kids about original Pennywise. Like we all do. But let me talk about it real quick. I really like the 2017 version of it. I think it nails a lot of things. I think it does things that the original it does better than it does things better than the original does in certain respects, and vice versa. But what I appreciate about it is it's committed to, there's a certain sense of style, and there's an aesthetic to it that, for better or worse, carries over to part two. And I maintain that I think it would be best served as a longer series, not 2 parts, not 3 parts, like 10 parts. It's such a big book. And I'm excited that this new like spin-off series on HBO is going to like go into the history of Derry, because there's so much in that book that people don't even realize. It's really, really messed up and scary and great fodder for adaptation. So I'm really excited about it. And then La La Land. Now I heard through the grapevine. Is this like the Bobby Moynihan's like secondhand news character telling me this, or was this real? La La Land is going to be adapted to stage.
They've talked about it for years, but I don't know.
Because I honestly, I gotta tell you, I think La La Land would be adapted beautifully to stage. I would love to see them try out different actors with that. I love the music of La La Land. I love the premise behind La La Land. For my part, I did my little stint in college, did an internship in LA. That was like my big dose of reality, as like the bright-eyed film student. I went out there, I was like, oh, geez. Oh man, like that was a big old dose of reality. And I remember when the first time I watched La La Land, it really hit me. Like I related to Emma Stone most of all in the movie, not because I wanted to be an actress, but because I went to LA and it was just a crash course in, you know, how things work. And I think La La Land seizes on that truth in a really beautiful, natural way, and I think that's the strength of it. I love the music, I love the style. I'll be honest though, neither it nor La La Land is a 5-star movie for me. I think they both have a lot of strengths, and I love It the book more than either adaptation of it. But I think the latest iteration of It nails so much of the tone and so much of the spirit of what Stephen King is getting at, with camaraderie and a group of friends triumphing over evil and all that good stuff. I have to lean It, guys, but I wanted to give La La Land its due. I think it's a really good movie. I enjoy La La Land. I'm not a hater, but I do like It a little more because I'm more invested in the source material. It's not fair to La La Land, but I wanted to at least talk about it. I'm done now. Taylor, please still like me.
I'm not gonna like anyone by the end of it. I'm just saying that right now.
I'll follow you.
So I'm known for being the La La Land hater amongst our friends because I think it is a top 10 movie of all time and not a top 5 movie of all time. So I am definitely voting La La Land because it is because of everything, Adam, you kind of just nailed upon about how
you're smart.
It lands on I think it taps into the idea of Hollywood in a way that we've never really seen from a movie, of like the allure and the wonder of Hollywood and then kind of from a here is the reality point of view. Now, obviously, I don't know the ending kind of goes more in the love story, kind of like in, hey, we're going to do kind of a different angle on that. But I think for the majority of the film, it does definitely go hey, this is the reality of moving of Hollywood and people trying to move to Hollywood and being swept up in the allure of it. And I really connect with that, and I really do like fall in love with that side of the story. I think Emma Stone's performance is fantastic. I think so. Same with Ryan Gosling. I think the directing's fantastic. I really love It Chapter 1 a lot. It's a great horror movie. It is a great movie to sit down and watch and get scared shitless, but it's not La La Land. And La La Land is a special kind of movie. So I'm going with La La Land. Marisol?
Deciding vote time?
Yep. Deciding vote.
These are both 2 movies that I think are wonderful, and I know have feverish fan bases. Some well gestating, over a long time, and some brand new fans, because La La Land is a brand new original musical. And I respect both of that because I know how passionate the fan bases are for both of these films for different reasons. And I think they're both films that definitely have strengths and weaknesses, both of them. I'm green to It. My first exposure to anything in the It universe was watching the Andy Muschietti movie, Chapter 1. And I think, and even being a complete outsider, I felt how truncated the film was. I'm like, this should be a series. Is obviously something there's some movies you can tell, adaptations you can tell watching them, you're like, this is obviously fleshed out as a novel. And this is just this is just them chopping it together to fit in a movie. Kind of like watching Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which I still love that movie. But that's one of the most truncated Harry Potter adaptations. Definitely feel that with It too, that I think comes right up to hurting the impact, but doesn't, because I still think it just works, actually kind of closes and shut even without part 2. I think It almost Chapter 1, I think, closes the circle. I think actually can kind of stand on its own as a part 1 very satisfyingly. I think it kind of completes the narrative arc for a lot of the characters. And I like part 2, chapter 2, chapter 2 more than I think maybe more than the general public does. I think it is still a fascinating, unique, and emotionally investing horror film that's very character driven. But I like the completeness. I like the uncertainty. I like the edge. I haven't seen the original, but I do really appreciate once you add this kind of level of kind of cartoonish CGI and unpredictability that Andy Muschietti is really good at. I think that makes Pennywise very terrifying in that regard. La La Land, the music is the strongest point of La La Land for me. Absolutely. I listen to the soundtrack to La La Land a lot because I think Justin Hurwitz, that is one of its strongest aspects. I think in regards to the rest of it, I totally agree with you, Mara, about how I believe Damien Chazelle, like he believed, he was so inspired by all these things, but I don't think that they put together, I don't think just because the will and the intention and the dream was behind it, I don't think it landed as bombastically and successfully when you don't put that talent to kind of complete it. That the best, like I agree with you, Mara. Talented people who might not still be the best people for this particular job stops La La Land from taking it to that next level, that stratospheric level as a musical, as a technical musical for me. But the music is the strongest aspect for me in that regard. La La Land is a classic, big, broad swinging, satisfying story. And I totally understand why it has such passionate fans. And I also understand why it has passionate fans. I'm in the middle about both of these, but when I think where it lands for effectiveness within their respective genres, I'm getting this clinical. This is such the opposite of how I talked about Parasite and Drive. I was like, yes, and clinical and science and movie science. But I'm gonna vote for It Chapter 1. I am gonna vote for It Chapter 1. I think that is a more complete and delivers the goods within the genre and with that Special King brand of being absolutely terrifying, but absolutely being emotionally resonant and having a complete, satisfying arc for its characters. I am going to have to give the slight edge to It Chapter 1. Although that ending of La La Land is still an all-timer.
With that, we say goodbye to La La Land, and I'm sleeping on the couch. All right.
No. Everyone can enjoy their very short-lived victory because it's not surviving the next round
very
anyway.
true.
So that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Next up, Crazy Rich Asians versus Pain and Glory.
Again, why is this a personal attack? I just went through a personal attack, and now there's another one.
I'll start with this one. Look, Crazy Rich Asians is a really great movie, but Pain and Glory is special. Like Pain and Glory is just this really, really deeply personal film, and just a really great exploration and character study into looking back on a career, sexuality, and sexual orientation, and like figuring out who you are. And I really love Antonio Banderas's performance in this. So I'm going to go Pain and Glory. Mara. Sorry, no, actually, Marisol, can I go with you? You're muted. Hey, hang on. Mara, actually, I'll go with you because Marisol, they're busy. Mara.
Well, I already know how this is going to go, so I'm going to give. This is genuinely where my vote would go anyway, but I'm going to give the vote, the only vote that'll go to Crazy Rich Asians to Crazy Rich Asians. So there's no real reason to explain it because I know everyone else is going to vote for Pain and Glory. It's a great movie. But yeah, I'm going to give Crazy Rich Asians the vote it definitely deserves to have, to not have none. But I genuinely love the movie, especially because there's a lot of overlap between East Asian and Central South Asian cultures. So I find a lot of identity in that movie.
Tell.
Okay. I don't really know how to start talking about this one. I was hoping to go last.
Okay, Marisol, can you?
I can go.
It's
I can
fine.
go. I'm
It's
ready.
fine.
I'm ready. We're good.
Okay.
I love you, Taylor. I'm sorry. I totally hear what you're saying, Mara. I know what you mean because I voted for Crazy Rich Asians to make it through last time because I did want to make it through. But Pain and Glory, I also am a sucker for Almodovar, and Pain and Glory is both of these movies are special, but I think here's what I'm going to say about Pain and Glory. I agree with what you're saying, Mara, about Crazy Rich Asians. Pain and Glory we've seen, especially in the last few years, we've seen a lot of directors try to tell their own story, their own life kind of in film. We saw Kenneth Branagh do it with Belfast. I think middling effect. We saw Spielberg do it with Fabelmans. And I know Fabelmans has a lot of fans. Wasn't quite one of those. I think it gets a little too close to home. I think you mentioned the word nebulous. When directors try to tell the story of their childhood and stuff. I find it fascinating. Almodovar has his life bleed into a lot of his movies. In a lot of ways, it's kind of part of his DNA as a filmmaker. But I really like the introspection of Pain and Glory. I like how it's him looking at his life, him kind of projecting a few autobiographical elements onto his main characters and looking at his life, his relationship with his mother, everything, and looking at it kind of in the twilight years of his life, looking back at his own career without any ego about it and really pretty self-critical, and putting all your kind of demons on display. I think it's a really incredibly mature piece of work. And I think even if you've never watched a movie about him and you don't have any context about this man and his career, I think that there's still a lot of layers and a lot to gain from this. And you still get the best of all the best things about him: the dialogue, the art direction, the incredibly soulful performances, and it's an all-time performance from Antonio Banderas. So this is definitely Pain and Glory for me, but gotta give love to Crazy Rich Asians.
Adam?
So, Crazy Rich Asians beat a Mission Impossible flick, right?
It did. It beat Fallout.
Oh, yeah. We lost so many votes that week. I'm sorry, guys. We miss you.
Yeah.
Kind of. No, I think Crazy Rich Asians is really solid. And I spoke to it at that point. Now, as I recall, Pain and Glory, I voted against it, but barely because, that week, I was in the unique position. Jane Eyre and Pain and Glory were like the two movies I hadn't seen that week, and I watched them both. And then they pitted them against each other like a true Satan. And I was just like, I just got to know these both. I met them both last week, and now I have to like tell one of them to go die. And look, the silver lining is, even though Jane Eyre is gone, which is great, go see it if you haven't. The 2011 version, very, very, very good movie. Pain and Glory was just a wonderful, eye-opening experience. And I've seen a handful of Almodovar films, but even as someone who has an idea of the man making the movie, you don't need that. It's you can watch it without any context and understand the humanity behind it. And unlike things like 8.5 and the Fabelmans, which I know that's a wide gap between those two, but seriously, the thing they have in common though is like, it's like, this is my life. And the difference with Almodovar is like, he's like, this is my life, but there are other people in it. And you can make that argument for the other movies, but I felt it more with Pain and Glory because he's more empathetic as a filmmaker, in my opinion. He's less focused on himself, even though his character, his avatar is, like very well defined. and we're very fixed on his point of view. The people who drift in and out of his life, we empathize with them as well, and we understand how they make him a better person. I think it's such a beautiful movie. So I vote for Pain and Glory as well. Yeah.
All right.
And the hair. We didn't talk about the hair.
The hair.
You were like the aesthetic, the production design, the costumes. I'm like the hair.
Taylor.
Yeah, Pain and Glory is another one of those movies that took me by surprise. It was another screening that we had where we just kind of went to it and we're like, well, I have no idea what we're walking into. And I left going, well, if Antonio Banderas doesn't get an Academy Award nomination, I'm going to riot and burn this whole place to the ground, basically. I fell completely in love with Pain and Glory. And I became a very fierce advocate for it that year, where I was basically just telling anyone and everyone that they needed to watch it, and then felt very vindicated when that Academy Award nomination came rolling in. It's such a beautiful movie. Visually, like aesthetically, the color palette is incredible. The cinematography is amazing. Like, it's just so rich, and really, really does a great job of storytelling all on its own without anything else. Like, aesthetically, it's gorgeous. Performances are wonderful and heartbreaking and intense, and it's just a beautiful movie that I try to always encourage people to watch because it was one of my favorites of that year. Crazy Rich Asians, as the resident rom-com expert of the panel, is just astonishing. Like, the fact that we still don't have a sequel to that movie solely because they don't want to pay women and pay women of color like a decent amount of money. Like, and that's the reason we don't have a sequel to a wildly successful like film like this. Just is a whole rant that I could go on, and I won't go on, but like I could go on that rant and be like, this is why movies are like in the state that they're in. Like, this is why the studios suck and everything's terrible. Because this movie, it shouldn't be what it is. What I mean by that is it shouldn't be that standout of like, wow, we got Asian representation in a rom-com that's really good and it's so fun. And it's like, why is this the representation? Why are there not scores of these? Like, why? And this movie is that. It's like, oh, this is so totally something we can do and do more of and have it be universally appealing while still being very specific and having people very specifically relate to it, but still having it be universal and fun and emotional and have a cast that's full of people that doesn't get opportunities like this for really stupid reasons. Like, it's that movie. And while I'm so glad that it is, it shouldn't be. And I'm so happy that we had it in this bracket and it's made it to this point so that we could talk about it, because we just need more movies like this, whether they are rom-coms or whether they're dramas or action movies or whatever it is. Like, it's amazing that we have it, and it's frustrating because it just reminds me of the fact that we need more of it and we're not getting it for really, really dumb reasons. It doesn't really matter what I vote for at this point. So I'm going to vote for Crazy Rich Asians because it deserves that.
Yeah.
And I'm really sad to see it go, but I'm just glad we've been able to talk about it because I think it deserves that.
Since she actually talked about it, I just want to mention one other thing about it because it actually got talked about. Regardless of like anything about like, it's great that it happens to be a cast of East Asians, but like no matter which quadrant of representation that it had, I love that in a rom-com, just in the genre of rom-com, they also decided to address in cultural racial aspects, like the difference between how Native Chinese persons and Chinese Americans, how there is like inherent friction inside of that cultural community. Like, they decided to have like a massive cultural conversation inside of a rom-com. Like, that's just amazing. So like whichever cultural community had been represented, like hopefully there would have also been a similar dissection, because those things exist in every single like, you know, different place. Like I don't know if it's like, you know, it's not necessarily always about like, you know, birthplace, like place of origin or whatnot, but like there's always those like every diaspora has its own like points of friction. But like the fact that they chose to not just make a very good rom-com, like it has a very good, mostly non-cliched story, and it has the perfect amount of Aquafina for me, like just the right amount. And again, like excellent representation, and Gemma Chan is gorgeous and I want her to be my girlfriend. But yeah, they also decided to have a serious cultural conversation. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, thanks for showing up, Crazy Rich Asians. Your here.
All right.
And now it's my turn to sit back and not be in pain.
Pain and Glory does go through. Next up, Before Midnight versus The World's End. Adam, let's start with you.
I'm gonna be blunt. I'm gonna offer a little commentary, but I'm gonna tell you right from the rip, Before Midnight. Just telling you right now. And the reason why is because these are both the ends of a trilogy, right? And that's that they have.
Oh
that,
yeah. Oh
that,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, granted, The World's End is a thematic trilogy, but still, they're very tied. They're of a piece, and I like The World's End. We discussed it last time. At the time, I mentioned the David Bruckner horror film The Ritual, which is on Netflix. People should watch it. It's got a very cool, similar setup of the guys from college getting back together, but the horror movie version, not The World's End. So go watch it if you haven't seen it. It's cool. The World's End, though, really funny in my opinion, but the one I revisit the least of those three, you know, with Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. And Before Midnight is just a movie that, as I approach 40 years old, which is happening, I see movies like Before Midnight and they hit me on a guttural level. You know, regardless of your life experience or the specifics ins and outs that you've been through, I think all of us can relate a lot to what they're both going through at this stage of their lives. And when you couple it with what you've experienced in the previous two installments, the Before trilogy is just really special because of that reason. The fact that we've been able to revisit these characters two more times after the original movie and see how they've grown and matured and settled into a realistic relationship, where even though we have these fantastic backdrops of you know, Austria and France and ultimately Greece, we never lose sight of like how raw it is between them and how intense it can be when they tell each other how they really feel. And I think it's just an acting showcase. I think both of them deserve to at least be considered for nominations that year, but they were completely eclipsed, you know, just because that trilogy was taken for granted as far as the Academy is concerned. And I think Before Midnight is something that, you know, you could arguably just watch it by itself and appreciate the movie for sure. I think someone could have they could be flipping through channels and that could be their entry point and they would be fine. And I think they would get a lot out of it. And then imagine going back and watching Before Sunrise and Before Sunset and getting all that extra context of those characters. I think it's a very special movie. And The World's End is fun, but I think Before Midnight is resonant and very special, and I relate to it. So I vote for it. That was pretty concise. Right?
Marisol?
Yeah, no, I'll pretty much echo a lot of what you said. I like the trilogy comparison, but what I also like comparing these two movies is showing how they both are about what happens. They're both about reconnecting. They're both about what's the next chapter in life. They're both about what happens when you grow out of the idealistic stages of youth and you're now in your 40s. Like, you know, like you're now at another stage of your life. World's End is very much about how, you know, particularly one friend can't stop living in the past and wants to capture like but we did this and this was great, and how his other friends have moved on and are trying to reconcile with the relationships they had in the past with what the reality is of what life is now, you know. And then an alien invasion also happens on top of it. But it's similar in that sense to Before Midnight, whereas in Before Midnight, this is not the overnight falling in love. We don't even know each other, but this is so romantic. We're just going to give each other because we have one night to live and who knows if we'll see each other tomorrow, you know, coming just so far 20 years after, you know, that sweeping romance of that first one, and really settling into reality, which is what's the next stage of life, and the truths, and what love looks like 20 years later, and how you reconcile with what you thought your life would be versus what your life is, and what your life still has to offer, and what that means, and what love means in just a different shade when you don't see the world ahead of you, but you see the world a lot behind you and still some ahead of you. But I just love the maturity and the parallels of themes in both of those, of the relationships between the main characters in those movies dealing with each other in very different ways. One does it, I just think, in a more seminal way. It's not fair. This is apples to watermelon here. These are two very different movies with very different objectives. But Before Midnight is definitely going to outweigh The World's End in this situation for me, because, like you said very well, I think you can even just pop in this movie and still have a taste of, you'll just still get sucked in by, you know, it's scenes of a marriage. It's Ingmar Bergman. It's you know, it's Marriage Story. It's Noah Baumbach. It's these kind of where you're trapped in this intimacy and the scope of just these two people's lives. And when it's a showcase for these actors and just how these two people relate to each other, that itself is just an epic narrative in and of itself. And Before Midnight is a great example of that. And it's absolutely one of the best of the decades, and it's easily going to beat The World's End. I'm done.
Like you have that fear and trepidation in your voice. Mara.
Yeah, I'll be brief. It's no surprise that I'm going to relate way more to bro relationships than like two people who are parents and they have family things and adult people things with their children and their whatever. I'm the one person where like the Before trilogy just does not like tug at my heart. Like, I'm sorry, I'm just not that person. I love that everyone else loves it though. Like, I'm not taking that away from anybody, but like it just does nothing. It does nothing for me. I am dead inside. But so yeah, no, I would be remiss if I didn't love the Hornetto trilogy in general, but just even if it weren't just because it's a relationship movie against a relationship movie, bromances and like reconciling like your substance use disorder and like the blanks and, you know, just like the mile and all of that stuff. I don't know. It's just, I enjoy it. It's entertaining. It's not super deep, but also like, I like bro stuff. I would way rather be in Broville. So yeah, I'll just go down with the ship.
Mara, real quick, have you seen The Ritual?
What is remind me what it is, because my brain doesn't know.
I'm sorry, the reason you mentioned all the bro stuff, it actually, like, I mean this seriously, it dissects bro stuff in a really interesting way. It's actually, yeah. So Rafe Spall is one of the stars in it.
I love him.
Yeah, and he's really good in it. And it's a similar setup of World's End. It's all these British college buddies getting back together, and they go on a hike. They go on a hiking trip in Sweden, and they get lost in the woods, and it gets fucked up really fast.
Okay, I've definitely not seen it. I want to see it. It's
based on a novel too. The novel's quite good, but the movie's solid, and I think you would dig it. And it's got amazing like animatronics and imagery in it. So check it out.
Should I read the book first?
It's good either way. I read the book after, and I was still satisfied.
Okay.
Because the movie was better than I expected, and then I read the book. I was like, damn.
Ooh, okay. I'm very excited now. Thank you.
Yeah, and it reminded me of The World's End in a good way. So.
Ooh, okay. I just got given a gift. It's not even my birthday.
Jacob, see what you did? You deserve none of the credit.
Taylor,
Do I have to?
I think so.
Well, okay, here's the thing. So I watched before, what is it, Sunrise? Is that the first one? What's the
Mhm.
first one?
Yeah, Sunrise.
I watched before Sunrise and was not impressed, so didn't watch it either of the other two. So I haven't seen Before Midnight because I don't like the first movie of the trilogy. I watched it and went, is this supposed to be romantic? Am I supposed to be feeling literally anything? Because I don't at all.
I am not alone. Oh my god.
But
Mhm.
and I also haven't seen The World's End, so I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with this. Do I
One
pick
of
a
them has
movie?
alcohol in it.
Vote for La La Land.
Do I pick? Yeah, right. Do I pick a movie that is part of a trilogy that I don't like, or do I pick a movie that's part of a trilogy that I do like, but I haven't seen that movie in the trilogy? Like,
What
which,
is this trilogy?
like which way do I go? You know, like I have a pretty good track record with Edgar Wright, so I'm like, I probably would like it. Whereas I don't like. I like Richard Linklater, but if I don't like the first chapter of this, like I don't, you know. So like,
The problem, look, I need you to decide. I
why?
need you to pick one
Why? Why?
because it's going to have consequences.
Well, then why don't you go?
No.
Because I know where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly. So why
Uh-oh.
don't you go?
Because it's going to make your choice even worse.
Not really. I mean,
Well, now I'm starting. Now I'm starting to sweat.
Yeah.
What the hell's
Look,
going
I'm
on?
sorry.
what you okay?
You guys about to MacGruber me over here?
Potentially, from what it sounds like.
Everyone get out their DVD copies now.
Hey, what the fuck?
Everyone in the chat is gonna be so mad at me. They're gonna be like, "You're making a person who hasn't seen either of them like make the most consequential decision about what's happening
Don't be mad
here."
at you. Don't be mad at me.
La La Land remembers.
Marisol's hitting Adam like, don't remind her.
yeah. Don't add fuel to the fire. What are you doing?
Well, I really don't know what to do here. Like, I don't really have anything that's like leaning me one way or another. Like, I don't. Do we have a quarter?
Oh my god, no.
All right. I'm okay.
No.
Fine. I'm just gonna. All right. I'm just.
I don't want to influence your decision though. Like
You're
by what I'm not
I've
picking.
I've been umming and ahhing at mine because Before Midnight's not my favorite of the trilogy, but it is still incredible. World's End is my favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. I love The World's End. I'm the weird one. I think it's the best. I think it's the best. I love
That's
that movie
Stan's favorite.
so freaking much. Whereas in Before Midnight's not my favorite of them, but I still really love it as a good movie. So I've been going back and forth on which one do I go with, knowing there's a real chance you're going to pick World's End.
Uh-huh.
And that's kind of where I was like, oh, crap, I'm going to have to be the deciding vote.
No, and that's going to come down to
Whatever
me.
you
So you
want to
pick whatever you want to
It
pick.
doesn't matter what she
You
picks.
pick what you
Whatever
wanna pick,
wanna
'cause-
pick, bro.
Because I'm going to cause chaos either way. So
Yeah,
you
you
literally
are.
pick what
All
you
right.
want to pick.
What if
Look,
you guys say it on the count of 3?
You get your vote, and it's
No,
yours.
just vote.
What
Just
if you write
no
them
one
down?
else is
No, not on the
here.
count of 3, because people can change
No
it.
one
Write
else
them
is
down.
here. Nobody is paying attention to you. Whatever
Sure.
you want to pick.
Except I am Jacob, though.
I'm going with the one that's the best of the trilogy. I'm going with World's End.
Uh-huh. I knew you were going to do that, and I was hoping that you wouldn't.
Why I was like, I need you to make a decision.
Well, but it wasn't going to matter anyway. Like, what you pick was always going to be what you were going to pick. Cool. I don't know.
some reason I always thought you had seen World's End. so that's
No,
why
I
was
haven't.
yeah.
Oh,
I
I
haven't.
think I misspoke, by the way. I think Shaun of the Dead's his favorite. He thinks The World's End is the best one.
Right.
Okay,
Well,
I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off here and just get this over with. I I'm gonna like, just because like I know I'm gonna have to like give the whole trilogy a chance, even though I didn't like the first movie, but I'm still gonna vote for World's End.
I did not see this coming.
Before
Taylor,
midnight's gone.
gives you motivation to see it, right?
I'm gonna text message Dan Murrell right now because he's gonna shit his pants. I'm gonna see if he'll come give a comment.
Oh boy. Okay. Didn't see that coming.
Listen, I didn't think that I thought I was the lone hater of the before stuff, but apparently not.
Okay, it's cool. It's cool. I'm cool.
All right.
Moving on. Very
Next
quickly.
up,
At the
very
end of
quickly.
this- I will say though, at the end of this bracket, I want to put together a reel of Taylor talking about the movies she finally caught up with and felt nothing. 'Cause it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite Taylor things that happens on the show. Like, I watched it. I witnessed it. My eyes were open. I felt nothing.
me just coming on here being like, because of societal pressure, I gave this movie a chance, and then looked everyone in the eye and went, "Why did you make me do? Why did you?"
Literally,
make me do that?"
like,
Oh,
honest,
Trevor's
okay.
gonna
I
die.
tried to care about what you liked, but it bored me.
Side tangent before we move on to the next one. She finally watched Gladiator for the first time on Tuesday or something.
Oh
I think it
man, what was that
She'd
like?
never seen Gladiator. And then afterwards she was like, eh.
No.
Mid.
I didn't say no. I did not say mid. Okay, I did not say eh. I was like, oh yeah, like that was good. I was like, that was good. Yeah, that was a good movie. I was like, yeah. I was like,
I
that was
like that
fun.
blurb
That
on the
was good.
DVD cover.
It was good.
Gladiator had some
And
pizzazz
then
to it. I'll
you
give it
looked
that.
at me.
Yeah, yeah.
You turned and you looked at me and said, "This is about to be another Top Gun situation."
It is.
Where you watched the first Top Gun because the second one was coming out, which is what I did with Gladiator. And you like thought Top Gun was fine, and then you saw Maverick, and you were like, "Hell yeah!"
And
You're
you're
like, "That's
obsessed with
exactly what's gonna
Maverick.
happen with Gladiator."
Same
2.
thing's gonna fucking happen with this one.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if we come back in November and I'm like, "Listen, Gladiator 2 slaps, and we don't need we don't need to talk about the first one. We'll do a double billing of Maverick and Gladiator 2, and we'll just go."
Well, in Gladiator's defense, first Gladiator has a much better reputation than the first Top Gun. I
That's
will
true.
say that.
That is true.
I think
That is
people
true.
even who like Top Gun are just like, look.
I like the
It is
first
what it
Top Gun
was.
way more
Yeah.
than I like the first Gladiator.
Mm.
Oh,
we
This,
opened
we
this up.
need
All
to
right,
have
we,
this
we
discussion.
went on a tangent. All right.
In November,
Let's
we
talk
have to
about
come
this the
back
rest
to
of the
this
show.
discussion.
Yeah. All
Look,
right.
all I know is that I am out for blood. Who cares anymore? Because 2 of my personal 5 favorites of the decade have already died a fiery death. Thanks for that. Just like whatever happens, look, whatever goes. This is when I start drinking.
The replies have come in, by the way. Dan Murrell has said, "Can't say that I'm upset about the upset." And Trevor has said, "That is disgusting."
Oh boy.
Amen, Trevor. Amen.
All right,
All
what's
right.
next? We gotta
Rocket Man
Oh,
versus
no.
Ready or Not. Taylor,
no.
this is all on you now.
Ugh, I
I
have to
don't like
work at
this one.
4:30 a.m. I have to work at 4:30 a.m. I cannot start drinking, but this matchup might override that. Okay. So I'm gonna try to not go on too much of a tangent about this. But the fact that we live in a timeline where Bohemian Rhapsody got all the love and attention that Rocket Man should have gotten
Mm-hmm.
is literally like it's my Roman Empire. to steal from the thing the kids are saying about the Roman Empire. I think about it literally all the time,
The
constantly.
kids are talking about the Roman Empire.
They're talking about the Roman Empire. It's a whole thing. I know. Which, if the marketing intern for Gladiator 2, I'm going back to it was smart. They could use that as a whole thing. Anyway, Rocket Man is Rocket Man is great in that, to me, it takes on the biopic thing and the musicals thing, and somehow is not a disaster. Because we kind of live in the era of a lot of biopics, a lot of music biopics, and people are kind of sick of them because they just don't do anything interesting most of the time. Rocket Man, I think, is successful in being both a musical, where it has dance numbers and there is singing in real time in the universe that we're in the movie, and does it very well. But it also, because of that, and because of the way the story is told, and because of the way the movie is directed, it has this kind of ethereal, otherworldly, surrealist kind of quality to it that makes it engaging, where it's not, you're just not being kind of fed, this is the guy's life from beginning to end, essentially. I think it takes an interesting approach. I think the cast is really great. And I just think that even though it is a music biopic that clearly had involvement from the subject, like clearly Elton John was there and present, it doesn't feel like, well, we can't really like talk about a lot of things because, you know, he's alive and like he's going to see it. And I feel like for the most part, it didn't really pull its punches with a lot of things, but it was still fun. Like it was still a fun musical kind of moment. The costume design was great. Like I just overall thought it was really successful in what it was trying to do. Ready or Not completely took me by surprise. I remember the end of the movie being like, what the fuck did we just watch? Like that was awesome. It's so fun, and the ending to the movie is just bonkers. Like it is like one of those scenes where you're watching it happen and you're like, are they really about to do what I think they're about to do? And then it happens and you're just like,
I love this movie.
I love everything about the decisions that they're making in this movie. I just think that it does something unique in a genre where that seems to be difficult to do a lot of the time. It doesn't really rely on a lot of those things that people seem to be kind of sick of in the genre to be interesting. And I think Samara Weaving is great. She's awesome in it. Definitely one of the coolest like final girl situations that we've had recently. So this is tough because they're both so different. Like obviously the genres are completely different. What they're trying to achieve in storytelling is completely different. And it's tough. These two are two of my personal favorites. So I think for me, what I'm gonna have to kind of do with this, God, it's so hard. It's so hard. I don't know how to do this. And I'm really just not. Okay. I'm gonna go with Ready or Not. I'm not gonna elaborate because I'm gonna talk myself out. Like I'm just leaving it at that. We're just gonna go Ready or Not, and I'm not gonna think about it because.
I am going to go. I am also going to go with Ready or Not. I was just looking up then. So the last time we talked about this movie, Abigail hadn't come out yet. We had not seen Abigail yet, and that's so. And we obviously didn't have that discussed as part of that with this. Ready or Not, I like Rocket Man. I think what Rocket Man does, I agree with a lot of what you said, that it does kind of do it in at least a unique style. I do think, though, that it falls into a lot of the same trappings as the typical biopic. There is uniqueness to it in that it's like, hey, we're approaching it from a musical standpoint instead. But I think it does fall into a lot of these same trappings. And that's just where I just, that genre is just not for me anymore. Like I just think that they do like a lot. None of them really work anymore for me. a lot of the ones that we rewatch, and it's just like, oh, yep, nope, these aren't good. Like rewatching Bo Rap was one of the most painful experiences I've had in the last
You
year.
rewatched it?
Yeah.
That's
For
the
this.
first problem.
For this,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, no, I watched it.
Maybe I
I
missed something.
like I
87,000
rewatch
bucks.
like it's Bo Rap is this movie that because when I first watched it in theaters, I loved it, and now I think it's just horrifically bad. It's
Yeah, it
so
is.
fascinating.
It's
how
a
much
weird
that movie
experience.
is
We
just
had a lot of
dropped.
fun in that theater experience,
Mm.
and maybe it is just because it was a theater experience with like
Mm.
the cool music and
Live
stuff,
Aid
and it was
concert.
fun.
Yeah.
But but every rewatch since, I think I've done twice. Like I've rewatched it
Mm.
twice since then, and it just tanks.
Yeah.
Like it just.
Mhm.
Well, I took my parents to see it, and that definitely tanked it a lot.
Anyway,
Anyway, but I think Rocket Man is one of the ones that kind of does step out. I think also because Taron Egerton is really good in it.
Yeah, he's great.
But Ready or Not is just so much fun, and just this great original, unique, and different horror movie that it's got my vote just for that alone. So I'm going with Ready or Not. Yeah. Adam.
Yes. Now, last time, what was Rocket Man up against last time? Jog my memory.
Daybreakers.
Yeah. And I voted for Little Daybreakers
You
in
did.
vain because I just didn't want to go out with a goose egg, because Daybreakers was cool, but we're not talking about that. That movie was. Look, you guys gave me a reason to watch that movie. I'm sorry, but you gave me a reason.
Did you
to
actually watch it?
Yes, I watched Daybreakers.
Have you met him?
Well, I don't know.
I bumped that up. I was like, "Ooh, cool! A horror movie I haven't seen." And then I watched. I was like, "This is better than I thought it would be." And it was a lot of fun. It was so contained.
Yeah.
And then it lost. But Rocket Man is solid, and I think Taron Egerton is so good in it. And honestly, can you imagine him in La La Land?
Why you keep bringing up La La Land?
I'm sorry.
That's disrespectful.
I'm just saying. I want to see Taron Egerton in more musicals. I think
That's
that's
valid.
Mm.
That's valid.
I think I've just been really impressed with him and how he's navigated projects. I may have mentioned this last time, but he was really good in Blackbird with Paul Walter Hauser on the Apple. Go check it out. But no, I'm rooting for Taron because he's talented, he's so charismatic, and I just love that he got out there and he performed with his actual voice, and he wasn't trying to imitate Elton. He was just performing. Oh, the cats!
No.
Look at the majesty here. Is that osmosis?
What? Mara has taken over the stream.
She
Look at
has.
that.
I mean, understandably.
I'll kill you. I'll kill you.
There we go.
Rocket Man versus Ready or Not.
Yes.
Go.
This is the only way we're gonna settle
Go.
this.
You probably
Yes.
make that full screen.
Yes. I think Jayla is Rocket Man. Oh shit.
Oh.
Oh.
We have supremacy.
I guess there's nothing left to discuss.
That
Was that Jayla who just pounced off?
Oh no, Jayla is the alpha cat. She won. I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I knew it was really cute. Please continue. Everything you're saying is valid.
you knew it was going to unfold, and you didn't want us to miss it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You could see it coming. Ready or Not. I'm sorry, I got sidetracked with cat battles, but I will say this.
With cattles.
Yeah. If you like Ready or Not, you better go watch You're Next because that's a great movie.
Yes.
And I thought of it so much when I saw Ready or Not. They're distinct from each other, but they're very similar. Ready or Not's definitely more comedic and more heightened, even though You're Next has a bit of that too. But also, Adam Brody was like the quiet MVP of that movie. I really liked him. I liked how he was just like, oh man, I suck. My whole
He's
family.
such a sad sack in that movie.
He is.
It's really fun to watch. I love it. So, but Rocket Man's great.
No, he's
Ready or
pretty
Not,
much-
my vote though.
Yeah, he's pretty much like Michael. He's pretty much like Michael Madsen in Kill Bill 2.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what?
Fuck it.
We
deserve to die.
Yeah.
Marisol.
Yeah. This is easier for me, but we're in the second round of this at this point. There's going to be far and few between. There's actually weak movies here, but I do agree, and I love especially in the age of we lament it all the time about the generic nature and the formulaic nature of music biopics in particular. And Rocket Man really was a breath of fresh air. It really was, and driven by a very, as we've talked about, very passionate humanistic performance from Taron Egerton, really blossoming, really showing what he's got, and using all kind of the tools, that he had. Rocket Man is a special, and I do think it's going to really hold up while a lot of other biopics are going to fade. Blend the homogeneity of all of them is going to they're going to just all blend together as time moves on. I think Rocket Man is going to stick out more and more, and I think it's going to gain some more traction even as the years go on. I have to follow my gut instincts and my, just on the sheer entertainment level. I am going to vote for Ready or Not, because the rewatchability of it, which has been mentioned before, is just so high. And to really stick, I really do applaud movies for sticking to very, very simple narratives, and just executing them without trying to be too clever, too meta, which is especially rare in this day and age where everything's trying to especially genre movies are trying to out clever and out meta themselves at every turn. I think Ready or Not just finds that perfect balance where it doesn't take it too far. The entertainment value is just too high on this. And I also think that it's a very well staged, shot, produced, and star-making performance, as you mentioned, Taylor, like star-making performance at the center of it. And the wicked humor works really well in all of it. I have to vote for Ready or Not. But Rocket Man is a great movie.
Mara?
I think that building on what Taylor said, it hurts so much to know that the Wig and Teeth movie is the one that got all the praise. Now, I do, like, from a cultural and representational standpoint, I am still super, super proud that someone of MENA descent is a Best Actor winner, because that is so few and far between. Like, Omar Sharif was like the last like North African ambassador for like, hey, oh my God, like here's someone that's like amazing and handsome and a great actor, and throw this dude in the movies. Like, that was the last one. It was kind of a long time ago, guys. So, I mean, I'm very happy about that. However, gosh, it could have been for something else, though. There were other opportunities. Like, the fact that, I mean, God, the idea of like, oh my God, let's put Taron in La La Land. Like, don't do that to me. Don't tease me like that. Like, talk about someone who can sing and someone who can dance, because like his like acrobatics training and expertise and stuff, like, dude has excellent body control. And I love the fact that when he decided to do the singing, they did, I think, a very good job of threading the needle between not trying to do a direct imitation, but also not trying to create like a modern formula and like completely change it. It was just kind of right. It sounded like him, but it wasn't him trying to sound like him, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It sounded pleasing to my ear, and it sounded like it fit what they were trying to do. I think a jukebox musical is kind of maybe the best way to do a musical biopic, especially one that they're going to do in such a fantastical way. And again, everyone else mentioned the technical aspects and just the filmmaking and the craft of it all. I totally agree. And I do have to say that at this point in the game, it hurts me to see this happen. It hurts me to see Rocket Man go. But I don't want to compromise on what I know I was going to vote for when we started this round, even though I'm the last one. And I hate seeing Rocket Man go away the way it's going, but I was going to vote for Ready or Not. I was, and I'm not going to change that. because it's horror comedy. Like, you're already genre blending. I mean, horror is a tough sell as it is. I think that it's so well done. They especially like the jump scare balancing, the gore, it's just gory enough without being disgusting, because some people are very gore sensitive, even horror fans. There's some people that just like cannot handle it. Great sound effects, like great sound design. Just it's so great, and especially the end. I think it's been long enough. Can I talk about the end?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Like the timing and the editing of the end is so great, because there's just long enough where I'm like, because I mean, they keep it so grounded. The movie is so grounded throughout. You're like, these people are fucking wackos. Like, they're playing hide and go seek and they're just gonna kill this girl. Like, these people are cuckoo bananas. And they parse it out and they wait just long enough at the end that you're like, oh my god, they're all nuts. And then it all happens and you're like, oh my god. It was legit the whole time. Like, what a great, like, that, it's just like editing chef's kiss right there. Like, editing in a horror movie is so incredibly important, but not just for the scares, also for the laughs. Like, especially in a horror comedy, like, it earns its vote in this one. And I'm sad to see Rocket Man go, but man, it didn't, like, this has been very surprising so far this evening. I must say.
Alrighty, well, with that, yeah, Rocket Man is our first. This is our first one that's not a 3-2 split. Just want to say it's our first one that's not a 3-2 split.
Damn. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, look, this is what the next round is going to be like.
Well, this next one's going to be interesting.
Ugh. I hate it here.
Whiplash versus Inside Llewyn Davis.
Oh no! Oh god!
I am leaving. I'm leaving. I'm leaving.
Now, Marisol.
I already low key did a shot after fucking before midnight left, because I was like, well, you know, bottoms up. Like, where's it gonna go? I forgot what's happening.
When would you like to go? Do you want to start, or do you want to go last, or do you want to go in the middle? I'm going to let you have this choice because I know how much these two movies mean to you.
I'm a hard lady to please. Okay. I don't often say that I think movies are perfect. Jacob, you have just so pitted two films that I think are perfect against each other. And I am not happy, Bob.
That's fair.
Not happy. Okay. That was incredible.
Yes, it was incredible.
Yes, it was.
But you know what? No, I don't want to. I want to go like in the middle.
All right.
I don't want to go first because I want to collect my thoughts, but I also don't want to goddamn go last.
You don't want to decide this.
I'll just be like on the edge of the cliff at that point.
All right.
I'll go in the middle when it's still there.
All right. Well, I'll start
you
then
kick it off.
because I have a very all right.
The people who definitely know what they're voting go
I
first.
know.
Oh, I definitely know.
Definitely.
All right.
Okay, you
Cool.
Just
both
go.
can go.
Just
All
go.
right, we'll go
Just
first.
Just go. Just go.
Okay.
Whiplash is okay.
Okay.
Whiplash is a movie that I have now seen 3 times. It is one that has grown on me each time I've watched it, and I very much enjoy it a lot more now than I did when I saw it 10 years ago. I had issues with the movie 10 years ago. It's really hilarious that there was a very real chance that this matchup would have been Black Swan versus Whiplash, because I think those two movies are basic. Like, a big problem I had with Whiplash was,
oh my god, I would have died.
It was trying to be Black Swan, and I thought Black Swan did it better.
I would have literally died.
Whiplash has grown on me. I think J.K. Simmons' performance is phenomenal. I think Miles Teller, this is a very, very good performance from Miles Teller. I was about to say it's the best, and then I went, no, Top Gun Maverick and Spectacular now exist. So, yeah. I've seen Inside Llewyn Davis once, and
I
spent
spent years trying to get you to watch it, but anyway.
And it's a movie that I saw once, and it made me vote for it over Black Swan.
Yeah. Oh,
I love this movie so much. It has stayed with me. It has not gone anywhere. It has been over 3 months since I've seen it, and it's not gone anywhere. And I'm going with Inside Llewyn Davis because this is such an incredible and amazing performance from Oscar Isaac. It is such a unique and special movie. So I'm going with Inside Llewyn Davis. Mara.
I was very, very late to the party on Whiplash. Embarrassingly so. And also, again, I'm actually just still in the existential crisis of if Whiplash and Black Swan had gone up against each other, I might have vomited. I don't think I could have handled that because those are two areas in which I have extreme emotional attachment and understand the visceral stress and have like a trauma reaction when I watch them, which is part of why I enjoy them so much. And I think I might have just like left and been like, you guys deal with it. And I'm sure you guys would have been fine. You guys would have been fine. I'm sure you would have been fine. But that's part of why I love Whiplash so much is it's actually like a super triggering movie for me. And I get like, if I wear my Apple Watch and you watch like my heart rate during it and I get like sweaty, like I'm sweating just thinking about watching it. I absolutely love that it takes me back to such a completely terrible, awful place in terms of like high performance art and the abuses that people that can do tremendously amazing, talented things will suffer for art. And I also completely cherish Spectacular Now and Top Gun Maverick, but man, Whiplash also made me realize I was like, I don't hate Miles Teller as an actor. Oh my God. He's in other things and he's great. Yeah, no, I find it mesmerizing every single time I watch it. I've watched it so many times since I think it was just this last year before this one I was introduced to it. I've probably watched it at least 6 or 7 times. And again, I'm not dissing Inside Llewyn Davis at all. It's just a stronger reaction to it. So that's just why I'm going to pick Whiplash.
Marisol, you ready? It's the middle.
Where are the cats? Can the cats settle this? Look, what's actually really special, it's funny you saying comparing Whiplash to Black Swan. Look at Whiplash and Inside Llewyn Davis. They're both even more comparable. They're both about two people desperate to matter in music, like desperate to make their mark in the world, with two vastly different outcomes. Like, you know, like one is painfully physically fighting to stay relevant, painfully, like fighting to be relevant, sacrificing his body even to do this, and has everything working against him. And then somehow, like, I don't know, spoilers, whatever, but like one is trying to ascend and hit that point and break towards like a victorious moment of defying the odds and being victorious in spite of everything working against them. And the other is somebody fighting to stay relevant, just to be seen, just to matter because of their passion for music, just to matter. And the world is telling them they don't matter. And then the world reminds him that he doesn't matter. Like, you know, and at the end of all of it, and both are just searing and haunting, and you feel them in your gut, in your throat, and both have two different approaches. One is almost like a dream, like a haze, all of like a dream, the way it goes through, very melancholy, very downtrodden, which kind of fits with where the movie ends up. And then the other is just has this just grab you by the throat, and this the like just like the bang of a drum, like just grabs you by the throat and is undeniable and as loud as Caravan in your face. Two vastly different approaches, but two same sides of the coin of somebody reeking with talent and desperate to matter, and use music as their voice to matter, and how ambition can drive us to two completely opposite ends, painfully. And I just think they're just such master strokes by both of the artists. I think they're some of the best film work by a very young filmmaker with only a few, like 4 films under his belt. Oh shit, 3. Yeah, no, 4. Only 4 films under his belt, and veteran filmmakers. It's so impossible to choose between these two. I love these 2 movies. I love them. I love them so much. And I revisit them time and time and time again. I'm proud of both of them. I'm proud of both of my babies, no matter what. So I'm just because I made these movies and I'm proud of them. So I'm totally. I'm gonna actually just vote for Inside Llewyn Davis, because as phenomenal, I think Whiplash is absolutely Chazelle's best film, and it's phenomenal for a first-time filmmaker to make something that focused, especially if you watch the short film, which I finally caught up with for the first time, the short film that he did. He's such a wonder kid, Chazelle, and to come out the gate and have that much of a focus, just that little short film that made the film Whiplash, which J.K. Simmons just did. He was just in, and you see how much that is just like he is in the film. It's special. It's almost like it's like lightning in a bottle, once in a generation. But I also think it's such a testament that the Coen brothers, especially at this point in their career, with all the bona fide just bangers, all timers that they've done, I think that it's a special thing to their filmography that everybody, you ask anybody what your favorite Coen brothers movie is, you're always going to get a different answer. No matter what person you ask, you are always going to get a different answer. Everybody has a different answer because these guys just deliver 4.5, 5-star movies, like top tier movies all the time. I think it's special that after all of that, then Inside Llewyn Davis is one of their most reserved and restrained and most melancholy and quietest movies out of all of them, and one of the saddest. And that sadness, for me as a film goer, some of that sadness sticks with me in my gut and my soul at the end of the day more than the victory, that victory charge at the end of things. But both are phenomenal. I'm just picking one. Both are phenomenal. I love both of these movies, near and dear to the end of my heart, but I'm going to pick Inside Llewyn Davis.
Yeah. No, Adam. And Cam.
You set this whole thing up. You
Dude.
did this. You built this.
I did.
Yeah. I come at this from what I like to think is a somewhat unique perspective. I'm a not terribly accomplished percussionist, but I know how to play a drum set and other percussion instruments besides. That was my musical trade growing up. And I got to say, my drum lessons were way more chill. Like we got out the djembe drum, like we had some good times, like working out our rhythms and, like our triplets and whatnot. But I will say this, when I started like taking drum lessons when I was younger, I remember the thing that I wrapped my head around was just the mechanics of it and working out the precision. And the first time I saw Whiplash, that just hit me like a freight train. I never was held to the pressure of that as a musician, but I did drums in middle school, high school, and college. Band, concert band, marching band, jazz band, just trying to, stretch that muscle and stay in the habit. And what it all had in common was you would always be having a good time playing drums. And then there's that one guy who shows up who's like, but me though, I'm doing this to live. And I remember stepping aside for a few of those dudes and gals in college who were there to like play for real. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'll go over here with my triangle. I'm good. It's all you. But that's why I watch Whiplash and I relate to it so much, because I was never held to that level of pressure because I wasn't a music major or anything. But I understand the precision of percussion, especially because percussion is what drives the entire show, and the way it zeroes in on the anxiety of him messing up the band, or at least as far as JK is concerned, messing up the band, the perception of it, the sweat. There's so much sweat in Whiplash, so much blood, so much hanging skin. I feel all of that stuff, and it's not because I went through it uniquely. I developed a few calluses playing drums, but nothing like poor Miles in that movie. And so I find the pain of it terribly relatable. And then on the other side of it, you have Inside Llewyn Davis, which is a movie I caught up to late in the game, but I loved as well, like you, Jacob. I saw it late, but it resonated so much. And for me, it was like, I think most people would see Inside Llewyn Davis and they're just like, that's a good movie. It's just a good movie. Like I'd be surprised if anyone saw that movie and wasn't at least like, that was worth my time. But a lot of people find it, to be relatable because it's not pretentious. It invites you into the musical scene of the 60s without telling you need to have done your historical research beforehand. But if you are aware of the musical scene back then, it's very rich. And yet, if you go into it completely blind, it's going to make you want to seek out some of these artists and some of the trends of the time. I grew up on folk music. I love that era of music. And I think what's so special about it is putting Oscar Isaac in the driver's seat and having a character who is made up for the story, but it gives us a unique perspective at the time in folk music that we're not thinking about as much. And then you have the cat of it all, who adds a unique level of anxiety to the film. And even though like I wasn't necessarily worried that the cat was going to explode, I was still stressed out because I'm like, just stay on screen. Stay on camera, cat. Like stop leaving the frame because that's stressful. I like both movies a lot. I'm also going to vote for Inside Llewyn Davis. I relate to it just a little bit more. It makes me ache just a little bit more. But everything everyone said about Whiplash is true, and I also just find the futility of it so relatable and frustrating. And yeah, these are both top tier of the decade. It's like they should have gone against a couple other lesser ones, Jacob.
Yeah, you think?
I blame you, London.
Yep.
Blame you. But thank you.
Taylor.
London's blundering.
Yeah, this one was especially painful, specifically for me, because I am the resident Damien Chazelle lover. I know that you like pretty much everything except for Whiplash, but
Again, give a movie 4 stars and you don't like it, apparently.
okay, the first time you said the first time you watched it, you didn't like it.
Yeah, the first time I didn't, but it's definitely grown up.
Like he's acting like I'm just making this shit up. The first time he watched it, he was like, "It's Black Swan Light. It's like the store brand Black Swan." And I was like, okay,
That's what you led with, Jacob?
pretty much.
Yeah,
That's pretty much what he
that was my
said.
opinion for about
Yeah.
6 years.
So I'm allowed to give you crap for it.
So was
Anyway.
J.K. Simmons Mila Kunis in this situation?
No, I kind of
That
was
would be
more,
wild.
No, it was more just like it was the story of
Imagine that's
it just didn't I was just sitting there being like, I'd seen this and it just didn't hit with me or connect with me the way that it does now. Like
Yeah, no, it's
anyway.
I was just giving you crap.
I know.
Yes. So I love both of these movies. Whiplash, I think, is just so kind of takes your breath away. It's the pacing of the movie is just so unforgiving. The editing of the movie that cuts along with the tempo of the music, and the shots, like the shot selection, it's so cool, especially for someone like me who has always been so in love with music. Like it just connected with me in that way, especially as someone who has also dabbled in percussion, but didn't have the intensity kind of situation of it. who also was like, I'll just go over here and play the triangle while y'all just, it's fine. It's not that serious. So like from that perspective, I think it's super fascinating. J.K. Simmons is just, he is so awesome. Like he is so awesome in this movie. And I love how much debate this movie sparks around, you know, what the cost of being one of the greatest is and how much is too much, and is there a too much if it's something that you're willing to pay, like to achieve certain things. Like I think that's such an interesting discussion that really came out of this movie. Inside Llewyn Davis is one that the first time I saw it, it just resonated with me as well, but for a completely different reason, like the melancholy of it, and the completely stripped back tone and pacing of it, and just how grounded in reality it is comparatively to a movie like Whiplash, where it just kind of feels like you don't have a second to breathe, whereas Inside Llewyn Davis kind of gives you too much time to think and to breathe with the characters in the best way, purposefully so. Oscar Isaac is amazing in it. The cat is the star. We've already talked about that. Undeniably. It's just one of those movies that just has always stuck with me. I don't rewatch it as much as I rewatch Whiplash, but it sticks with me. It's one of those ones I don't particularly consider as rewatchable as Whiplash, but not in a negative way. Just like I have to be in a certain mood to put myself through Inside Llewyn Davis, even though I love it. So this is like such an interesting kind of matchup. And it's great because you also have, you know, two movies that have real musicality. Like, you know, Miles Teller is a drummer and put in a lot of the time to be drumming on screen. And Oscar Isaac plays that guitar and he sings. And, you know, it's really cool to like have that little element of it in there as well, where it really grounds those characters a lot. I mean, I would probably vote for Inside Llewyn Davis, but it doesn't really matter. So I'll give Whiplash some more love here, just because I don't think it deserves to have one vote in this situation. Like they're both just so top tier for me. That was really painful.
All right. Well, with that, Inside Llewyn Davis does move on to the next round. All right. I think this one's a little lighter. I don't know.
Well, if it's not, we're in for a real interesting discussion.
Yeah. Game Night versus How to Train Your Dragon. I'll
go.
Okay.
How to Train Your Dragon. Next. Next.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of just echo that. Like, I really love
Game Night's
Night.
fun.
Game Night's awesome. Game Night is one of the funniest movies from the last decade. I really love Game Night. How to Train Your Dragon is one of the best animated movies of all time.
Dude, the score.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's just like I completely love I love How to Train Your Dragon so much. I think it is so visually stunning. So the score, the story, everything about it. And on the cat theme, Toothless is just
he's a
giant
kitty.
He's just a giant cat.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's How to Train Your Dragon. Mara?
What they said.
Oh no.
Marisol?
Whiplash broke Mara. No, this is straightforward for me. I'm not a biggest fan of Game Night. I specifically rewatched Game Night before this bracket because I was like, let me rewatch Game Night. Let me see, let me see if I'm like missing something. I think the jokes are half there for most of the movie. I don't think it quite hits it. I don't think it quite lands the comedy beats. I think it's trying way too hard to have the editing beat of an Edgar Wright movie. I feel like they're trying to imitate right down to the editing style and the flow of Edgar Wright, but not really having the punchlines to deliver in Game Night. I feel that one a lot. Performers are all great. Obviously, we love the performers, but I don't think that the script and the narrative, the screenplay really holds them up it don't matter because I'm gonna definitely vote for How to Train Your Dragon, which I also rewatched because I like, but I don't love. I love the second one more. I think the second one, and the first one is a great introduction. I think it's pretty simplistic and pretty definitely for the kiddos. The first How to Train Your Dragon, and I think the second one then like really sinks comfortably into the lore and really actually takes the story. Expands it in a very, very, very satisfying way and takes it to the next level. Score, score is absolutely there. Score soars. Love the score, and I really appreciate the world setup. And I will easily still vote for How to Train Your Dragon, just for thank God DreamWorks finally got away from frickin' monsters and aliens, from the umpteenth Shrek sequels, and like decided to just make, like, instead of focusing on wink wink pop culture jokes and needle drops and everything, just decided to make an original family adventure with a ton of heart. And although I think the sequel is better, I love that DreamWorks went for it with How to Train Your Dragon, and I'm absolutely going to vote for it.
There's 3 years there where DreamWorks were better than Disney. Because they went like in 2008 they had Kung Fu Panda. Can't remember what the 09 one is, but then 10 is How to Train Your Dragon, and it was just like
09 was Monsters and Aliens.
Okay, yeah, well, okay, fair. All right, well, just that, yeah. But like
sorry, that was the last one
going from like Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon.
I know people like Megamind too, but
yeah, that was that
people
year.
People like Megamind. That was 2010, but like How to Train Your Dragon though.
Yeah. Adam.
I agree that How to Train Your Dragon was a step up for DreamWorks because so much of what they were doing was honestly kind of just by the numbers Drek at the time. And How to Train Your Dragon was something that had a unique perspective to it. And I love the full commitment to Scottish Vikings. That's not a thing. But I like that Scottish Vikings are all over these movies. And, you mix two things that are cool in pop culture and no one's going to complain. Scottish accents and Vikings.
Just like get Gerard Butler. He's European.
They didn't want to go with like Norwegian accents for an entire franchise. I get it. But, it's fine.
It's not the Northman, baby. It's How to Train Your Dragon.
Good double feature, though.
Oh.
But the cat thing isn't unique to How to Train Your Dragon. That applied to Game of Thrones as well. That was a big inspiration for how they and continue to animate the dragons in that universe. But I think it translates so well with dragons and capturing their personality.
Hiccup is adorable.
Yeah,
Hiccup is great.
Yes, and game night is fun. I like it as well. I vote for How to Train Your Dragon. Let's keep this train rolling. I like John Powell's score as well. And game night's not something I go out of my way to revisit. Although I will say Bateman and McAdams, that's like a comedic couple you could rotate into different scripts and I would get behind it. I think they should do another movie together, honestly, because they're great together. Their dry humor is fantastic. And I think that's why that movie has held up for so many folks, is because the script is decent and the jokes are funny, but it's the actors who sell it. And the two of them at the top sell the hell out of that movie. And I like them a lot.
All right. And our last one for round 2. The Farewell versus Zero Dark 30. Mara?
Alrighty. Does anyone know if Nine is still alive?
Which one?
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good
Like
question.
the real life one, not the actress.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think she is. I think.
God, I hope so. I don't need another blow like this.
Oh, the actress. Oh.
No, the real grandma.
No, the real
one.
Oh,
sorry,
Lily
this is
Lang's
imperative.
Nine, yeah.
Well, anyways, I know it sounds kind of messed up because it sounds like I don't need to get super granular because we don't need to go there. As a former service member, obviously I didn't have shit to do with the events of Zero Dark 30. Not a fucking thing. But the portrayal of like service members, fleeting though it is, since it's a little bit more into the like state side of things, I don't find it to be a way that feels like something that I want to watch or that feels authentic. It feels very elevated. It feels very Hollywood in Zero Dark 30 compared to something like Hurt Locker that feels very, very authentic and very lived in and very real to the experience, at least as far as like the experience something messed up coming home and then deciding to go back, etc. And then also from like firsthand people that I do know that were boots and sand folks. I don't really like watching Zero Dark 30. That's a personal choice. Even if I did like it though, like if this was the Hurt Locker, let's just say, this would be a really tough choice. The Farewell is such a great movie. I love it so much, especially because again, Aquafina does not work for me. Like I went into this movie really, really just not feeling like I was going to have a very good time. I had a great time. I had a lovely time. I also do we have word on Nai, by the way?
I can't find it. The latest was from 2020. She was still alive, but no one's. But like, it's
I'm gonna
not been.
say yes. We're gonna do a solid yes. Until I have it confirmed, I'm gonna say yes. So Nai for life. But yeah, no, I'm gonna go with the thingy that makes me, even though again the movie is of course like meant to be bittersweet, like positively, like it's the sweetness part of the bittersweet, but still though, I mean they went there for a reason. You don't go to say goodbye for a happy reason. It still makes me feel feelings I would rather feel when I watch it. I don't want to feel the things that I feel when I watch Zero Dark 30. It makes me angry. It makes me very aggro. It does not make me feel things like I'm not feeling like, whoa, yeah, America. It doesn't make me feel that way at all. It makes me very angry to watch.
Marisol.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying too. I do like Zero Dark 30, I think more than you, Mara, but I also feel at the end of it, I guess I feel a more kind of observational approach to it. For me, and I feel the ambiguity at the end of it, especially, that makes you question the whole thing about, yeah, it's from the American perspective. But I felt the fascination with the whole thing, but I still felt throughout the whole thing, and especially obviously by the end of it, the ambiguity about it all. Like to what end were all these efforts, and it, even though I do like that movie, and I think Chastain is absolutely strong in it, it doesn't matter because The Farewell is another one of my most sterling picks of the decade. And like you were saying, when Aquafina surprises us, this was a surprise for all of us, and all the better for it. Because the intimacy, how personal the script is, and how special it is, and closed off and insular it is, and yet gives us a peek into something very private, a very private issue that is a first time understanding and really wrapping your mind around for so many American audiences in particular. And to just open that up and make us all feel something, make all of us feel something really at our core about relating to the ones we love, in particular relating to our grandmothers. This is an all-timer for me for movies. So I hope to talk about this movie more. I feel like I say this every time we get on this subject, but it is absolutely The Farewell for me, and I hope it goes through.
Taylor?
Yeah, I'm just going to kind of piggyback off of that. I don't really have anything to add, but it's definitely The Farewell for me. Like, it's such an emotional film. It's such a unique glimpse into that culture and their approach to aging, comparatively to, it's kind of what we talked about with Crazy Rich Asians, where you have someone who was born into the culture and then someone who is an American version of the culture, essentially, where she grew up not really understanding the way that they want to approach aging and death, and like how there's such a different way that they handle medical things. I don't want to go too much into it because I still want you to actually watch it. But yeah, it's The Farewell is so beautifully done. It's heartbreaking in the best way. And it's an easy vote for me. I wish we saw more of this version of Awkwafina as an actress, but I don't think that we will, which is really unfortunate.
Oh, those
Adam?
Disney paychecks don't lie.
I know. Yeah.
Ask, Alan Tudyk.
Adam?
Yeah, Zero Dark 30 is interesting as an exercise. You know, like you go back to a monumental historical event, you dissect it, you roll back the tape. That's going to be interesting to an extent for most audiences, at least once. And I caught bits and pieces of Zero Dark 30 recently. It was on the cable, and I watched a little bit of it. And I'll be honest, I fell asleep. And it wasn't because it sucked. I was tired, but like the reason I fell asleep is because I realized I know what happened. I know what happened here, and the movie's made well. It is, but I also know what happened, and I think that's why it has a ceiling for me. Even though I think it's made well and everything, like everyone was saying earlier, Hurt Locker for me resonates more because it's less about a really recognizable historical cultural event. Most people remember Osama bin Laden dying. So Zero Dark 30 cashed in on that moment. And I give Catherine Bigelow credit for making a movie that, at least ostensibly, wasn't trying to just be like, like fist pumping the whole time. But by making the movie alone, like Mara said, you invite that consideration. And it just makes it muddled. Farewell is completely unmuddled. I think it's perfect at what it does. I think it's lovely. And yeah, it made me cry. I'll vote for The Farewell. Absolutely.
So I'm voting for Zero Dark 30 because I really love Zero Dark 30 as a film, I think. But
going for that green card, eh?
I am fascinated, and the thing that I wish, okay, that came out wrong. No, I would be fascinated to see the original version of this movie, which was the continued efforts to find him, but ultimately failing. Because I think that's the weakest part of the movie is the third act, and I think that it would have been a lot more like Hurt Locker in where she's just continuing to try and it's not happening. And I think that would have been a real interesting introspection about the US and the ongoing efforts and that. And then I think that Bigelow was kind of put into a corner of, I need to make the movie where we caught him and we get him because we did. And I think them doing it less than a year, like within a year, was a little bit of a problem because it was like, oh, cool, we're halfway through making this movie, and then we caught him. Crap. I think you can kind of tell when the movie changes. That being said, I think Jessica Chastain is phenomenal in this movie, and I think it does. I think what Zero Dark 30 does really well is makes boring scenes exciting, in that it makes boardroom scenes and scenes of people talking about plans and people talking about what should be extremely boring relatively exciting. And I that's why I just think Catherine Bigelow is an incredibly talented director, and I really do love Zero Dark 30. So I'm going to give it its flowers. All right. Round 2.
I think Adam was right. You just want a green card.
Yeah.
He also still hasn't seen The Farewell.
That too.
So
Bitch!
You
All right.
remotely sick.
We have four more
Ugh,
really
no,
quickly.
No.
These are going to be rough.
Oh,
No.
Yeah,
Right.
we going back again.
No.
right,
All right,
Because we
do
have to
it.
do 2 of them.
right. I forgot
All
about
right,
that.
rip it
And then
off.
we all
Do
get
it.
How
back
much
and
more
cheese.
can you do to me?
Parasite versus It.
All right.
I'm going to start because I'm probably going to be the one person who votes for it. I'm going It. It's
Oh,
I am going for it.
Do it.
Because
Do
it is like I said, really love Parasite. I very much enjoy Parasite. And but it is just this awesome movie for me, and I just have this like it is one of my all-time favorite horror movies, so I am going with It. Adam.
I talked about Parasite for a minute. You know, that movie is so well made. And what it comes down to is both versions of It, the 90s and the present day version, I have issues with the way they're adapted because the book is just so dense and like it's hard to satisfy if you're really dialed in. I've read that book 4 times. And it's just like it gets better every time because there's so much detail in it. And so when I go and watch either version of the movie, it feels very, very abbreviated by comparison. But both have good broad stroke strengths. The thing I think is so cool about the 2017 movie is the fact that those kids, they're great. I really, really love the kids in the first movie. I understand why they were desperate to bring them back in the second and kind of shoehorn them in here and there because they're so charming. But they really guide the entire first film. And Skarsgård's version of Pennywise is a really cool take on it. I talked to you about how calling it an issue is not fair, but like one thing I struggle with the Muschietti It movies is the fact that Pennywise is so otherworldly and so bulbous and inhuman that he never has that appealing quality where the kids would actually be enticed by his company. Like any kid who sees that clown is gonna be like, fuck off. Like I like, you know, and to be fair, Tim Curry's version is creepy too, but the difference is he has a conversation with the kids. He's like, hey, like the kids say, like, my dad tells me I'm not supposed to talk to strangers. And Tim Curry's Pennywise is like, that's very wise of your dad, George. You shouldn't talk to strangers. That's not smart. But I'm not a stranger. My name's Pennywise. Now we know each other. And that's like so much creepier to me. And it sounds like I'm digging on like
But Bill Skarsgård right out the gate is like
his eyes are like whoop.
No, you're instantly like no. Like,
I have 8 million teeth. Like
no,
I
know what you mean.
But I'm getting this all out of the way because I think there's so much that works about it. I think it should invite you in with some of the familiarity more that's established in the book. Parasite, I already went hard on it. This is a difficult conversation to have, but we've reached the apex of our episode, and we all have lives to live. So with the disclaimer that I think Parasite is going to. It's probably already in the Library of Congress, even though it's a South Korean film. It'll be entered in eventually. It's immortalized.
It's not eligible yet.
All right, but you are, Jacob. I'll enter you into the Library of Congress. I gotta vote for it because it's uneven, but it's passionate, and it comes from source material that has just been with me most of my adult life, and it makes me very biased. There are movies in this bracket that I would vote for over it, just so we're clear. And this is with some reluctance because Parasite is damn near perfect. But I'm going to vote for it just to preserve its legacy because it's damn cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go.
Parasite next. Let's go.
All right, Taylor, good job. All right.
Marisol.
Yeah, no, sorry, baby. Definitely Parasite. Rewatched both of these for this bracket. Said all the things about it. Want to give it its due, but Parasite is a more seminal, I think, and impactful piece of work, and we're going to talk about it in the next round. Parasite.
Thank you for
Mario,
letting me talk about it, guys.
I know,
Thank
I
you.
had to. I got
I had to
more.
let that-
I liked it more on a recent rewatch. I did. Look, all right.
It was solid of all of you.
I
Let's
see.
move on.
I see it.
Thank
I see.
Mara, you've got the deciding vote.
I see it.
I love how I don't know if everyone else realized that though.
Oh shit.
Oh, the
We're
power.
gonna get McGruber again. Here we go.
Well, no. Okay, so here's the thing. This is a really sad choice. I think that there's merits to having both of these movies this late in the game, but I cherish both of them, especially because I very much like Adam. I grew up with like this was one of the I read it at a disastrously young age.
Yes, me too.
Like an inappropriately young age. Like the Ritual of Chud, I had to ask a lot of questions about.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And the yeah. Okay. Anyways, Google it, guys.
Middle school for me. Middle school. Yeah.
Oh, I was pre-middle school.
I was sixth grade, so right on the cusp. But yeah.
I read a lot of books when I was too young. Anyways, I watched Silence of the Lambs when it came out, like maybe like when it came out on home video. I was definitely in the single digits. That was
You're
not
like, this is a
appropriate.
lateral move from Goosebumps. This is cool.
So-
Yeah, I can handle this.
But anyways, like, but nostalgia aside, I agree with everything that you said about it. But I just the fact that I think that Parasite, sad but true. I would love to say that I'm not a pessimist, and I truly don't think I am. I think I'm a pragmatist. I only think the movie is going to become more relevant in terms of like class, like social inequality, and like how capitalism continues to like snowball us into like class conflict and stuff like that. And I think we're only going to become more stratified. The wealthy are going to get wealthier and continue to keep the poor as possible. And I think that the movie is going to become even more relevant over time. I think it's actually going to be looked at as one of the most well-deserved Best Picture winners of all time. And it's not even my favorite movie of that year either. But I think it is the Best Picture of the year. So I think that Parasite should move forward in this case, even though I am depressed over saying goodbye to it.
All right. Well, with that, we do say goodbye to it, and Parasite does move on to. We have our first film in the final bracket with Parasite. All right.
I can live with that. I can live with that. Yeah.
Pain and Glory versus The World End.
Thanks for this reminder. Okay, here we go.
All right. I'm just going to be the only person that votes for The World's End. I'm just going to say it right now, so you can all vote for Pain and Glory. Bye.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
That's exactly what's going to happen, though. It's okay, though. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Taylor, I'll let you
It's
go.
okay, though. I don't mind.
Jeff?
Been
Pain
said
and
many
Glory.
times before. Right before MacGruber happens.
Marisol?
I'm just gonna vote for Pain and Glory because of all the reasons that I already said like an hour ago. And all and for both of these movies, I gotta vote for Pain and Glory. That's the one I'm gonna vote for. This is as comprehensive as I get right now. Pain and Glory.
Adam?
I vote for The Ritual of Chud.
Oh Jesus.
They went for it in the sequel, Mara. You got to give them that. The fact that they put that on screen and even talked about it is pretty silly. Ritual of Truth. Pain and Glory as well. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry to be so predictable, but it's again, I want to give The World's End its due. It's in my 3-pack. I got the Cornetto 3-pack. It's in there. I own it. I own a physical copy of the movie. But
well, good, because it is the toughest to track down. It is the toughest to stream out of all 3 of them.
Yes,
it is absolutely the toughest.
But Pain and Glory, as we said, one of the ultimate filmmaker biopics, audio biopics. So yes, Pain and Glory, please.
See, I'm going to put that. I'm also going to go with Pain and Glory, but we made this round easier instead of having it Pain and Glory versus Before Midnight.
Oh, she's going to come for you.
Oh, that's what you're going to say? That's what you're going to say? Okay.
Thanks,
all right.
man. Thanks.
All right. Nice try. Nice try, Blunden.
We made this round easier. Okay. Well,
God.
This may be a slaughter. Ready or Not versus Inside Llewyn Davis. I'm just going to start. I love Ready or Not. I voted for the horror movie earlier. I ain't voting for the horror movie now. I'm going with Inside Llewyn Davis. I think it resonates a little bit too much more for me. So I'm going with Inside Llewyn Davis. Marisol.
Yeah. I mean, it's been kind of across the board for all of us. We talked about the entertainment levels and the genre thrills and the genre satisfaction of Ready or Not. But as I just previously said about Inside Llewyn Davis, the level of the reaching to find depth and really hold a mirror up to our failures as people, as no matter how much, really find some of our insecurities and bring that to the forefront and make that the lead of a character in your film. That whole arc and that point of Inside Llewyn Davis is to lead with making the world feel like you're small, but for the people who feel like they're not seen, this is your story, and it doesn't always pan out for you. That's just a narrative and a story and something that sticks to the ribs more than the thrills, the genre thrills and surface thrills, although really juicy and satisfying and like a good, like really good cheeseburger of Ready or Not does. So I'm going to go with Inside Llewyn Davis here.
Mara?
I did not vote for the horror movie last round. I will vote for the horror movie, or the pure horror movie. I'll vote for the horror movie this round.
Adam?
The Devil. What? I'm sorry. Just like movies about the devil. I do. The Devil's not Inside Llewyn Davis. That's not the point of that movie. But still going to vote for it. Inside Llewyn Davis. That
was confusing. I thought you were about to vote for Ready or Not. I was like, what the shit are you talking about?
You know what it was? I said, what I meant to say, here's what happened. I meant to say, the devil is not in Inside Llewyn Davis. And I missed, and I said, the devil is not Inside Llewyn Davis. And then I realized that was an inadvertent pun, and I was stunned by the accident of it. And I had to think about it for a second, and no one else was with me. And, but you have my vote. Let's move on. East Coast time.
Taylor?
Yeah, I'm also going to vote Inside Llewyn Davis.
Inside Llewyn Davis moves on. All right, the last one that I actually think, I have no idea where this one's going. How to Train Your Dragon versus The Farewell. Adam, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. That's nice of you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. After much thought and consideration, I will say both of these films are respected and loved by the Academy. But I will say The Farewell. It's not as animated as How to Train Your Dragon, but it's
got
great. So I'm going to vote for The Farewell.
Tell.
Yeah, this is a weird matchup. I'm gonna go with How to Train Your Dragon.
Marisol.
Come on,
Do the
Jacob.
tilt.
Yeah, I am going good. I am going to give you the tilt. You've earned it.
I didn't
at this
do anything.
point. You.
Okay.
I was talking to
I
him.
knew where you were going.
I was talking to him. You earned the tilt. Come on. You need to ask me. You know what I'm voting for. I am voting for The Farewell. I am going to vote for it. Yeah, I give my credit to How to Train Your Dragon, but that ceiling is still below the emotional impact of The Farewell and the uniqueness of that film and how personal it is to the filmmaker and how them sharing one of the most personal stories for themselves was a gift to all of us. And excuse you, what's with the snigger?
It's so late. I'm confused.
It's fine.
I'm laughing at the moon at this point.
All right. I'm going to give Mara the deciding vote because I am going with How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
Again,
Oh,
it is one of my all-time favorite films. So I am going with
he's
How to
watching
Train
it
Your
tonight
Dragon.
after the show.
All right.
Honestly, half considering it, Mara.
That cat is stretching a lot.
Look at my socks. Look at my tube socks.
I love there's always the twitch of the tail.
I know you're watching.
Oh, look at you, so pretty.
She's like, me?
And then you've got Chonk here.
What'd you call me?
Draw me
King
like one
Chonk.
of your French girls, Mara.
It's okay. King Chonk needs to lose about a pound because that's why you're too chunky. You're such a chunky boy. You got a big trip that you gotta go on. You can't be chunky to go. All right. So this is not super difficult for me. Two really fantastic movies. But Marisol said everything that I would say and better because I'm honestly still just, I don't know why, I'm captivated by Adam's animated joke. I don't know why.
Don't encourage him, Mara. Don't encourage his epic dad jokes.
Funny though. I'm gonna vote for The Farewell though. It's just what a beautiful, beautiful movie. I really do. I cherish it. It's a lovely film. We're lucky to have it. We're lucky to have it go forward. So, How to Train Your Dragon, beautiful, lovely movie. Also, we'll fondly remember you. Sorry, your Uber's here.
Well,
everyone in this bracket, Jacob.
Well, with that, everyone, that is this round completed. We did it. We got through. We're back. We got through the first bracket. We got through the first bracket. We have our first four officially in the final bracket: Parasite, Pain and Glory, Inside Llewyn Davis, and The Farewell.
That's a
They are the final four.
That's a good four.
Yep.
Damn.
Damn.
What do we get to see a preview for next week?
Yeah. So here is.
I'm scared.
Next, we are back. Also, guys, we are back. We will be doing these back fairly regularly.
Yeah.
We're back on a regular schedule. So here is next week's bracket. We have Looper and Paranorman, The Nice Guys and Hunger Games Catching Fire, Only the Brave and Free Solo,
Ugh.
Logan Lucky and Mandy, Queen and Slim and Moonrise Kingdom, Shutter Island and Blind Spotting, Black Klansman and Prometheus, and Toy Story 3 and Green Room. We will be saying goodbye to 12 of those movies next Sunday.
Oh boy.
Wow.
Mara,
I'm just gonna say right now, none of them gonna hurt as much as the shit that I just went through. I would be walking on clouds through the rest of this bracket show. 'Cause I'm like, you can't hurt me. You can't touch me anymore. I lost my babies. I lost some of my
Again,
babies.
I will say, at least now you don't have to pick between Parasite and Before Midnight.
You keep trying to get out of here with your ass. You keep trying to sugarcoat this and make it seem like you're doing me a favor. Okay. All right.
Although you do, yeah, there is one you have to pick. Okay. Adam, where can people find you online?
Well, here for now, and Champs on Film, we have such great archival Champs on Film content.
Dude,
From 6 years ago. You should go back and watch it because it's great content. Listen to us weigh in on the Oscars from 4 months ago. And
I like that we took a 4-month break.
See if we get it right. No, seriously though, we will get back to Champs on Film eventually. And in the meantime,
we're ready. We miss talking about movies.
Well, I am doing one thing. Mr. A mutual friend of ours, Mike Deacon, reached out to me. I'm going to be on his show on August 7th, talking about Trap, the new M. Night Shyamalan film. And we may not be reviewing it, but we're going to finally see Longlegs in the next few nights, and I'm so excited because I really want to see it, and I just haven't had the time yet. So no spoilers.
Don't say the cast because Taylor doesn't know.
I do now because of Twitter.
Oh, okay, never mind.
I'm so excited to see Longlegs.
And while we haven't done anything on Champs on Film, I was just invited on to Film Coven. Melissa and Kelly have put together an amazing panel of women talking about kick-ass women in film. And I had the pleasure of just being invited onto their panel. Melissa posted it up. So check out Film Coven on YouTube, on Twitter, on Letterboxd, I'm pretty sure. But we just had a great panel. Me, Janine, the two of them, some great people talking about some of our favorite badass women in film. So you can find that one too. In the meantime,
Mara, where can they find you online?
I'm on hiatus.
That's fair.
She's like, spoiler alert, you can't, so don't try.
Given the state of the world at the moment, that is fair.
Mara's diminishing into the west.
Yes,
she is.
Actually, oh no, never mind. Thanks to Rings of Power, I actually do have enough pigment in my skin to be an elf. So yes. All right. I was about to say I can't be an elf, but yes, I can.
Taylor.
You can find me here on this channel. You can find me at Finally Tailored on the Letterboxd, Twitter, pretty much just everywhere online, really, just talking about movies and, stuff. There's things happening. I don't know if everyone's noticed, but stuff's going on, so you'll find me there.
The world's burning.
Things are happening, it's fine.
You guys can find me pretty much everywhere at Jacob London and on the Notorious by Chance YouTube channel because we're going to start talking football again.
Football, baby.
So that's right around the corner. So
wait, you said we can basically find you anywhere online. Does that mean that if I go to one of those like foot fetish places?
I said basically, not officially everywhere.
Officially.
All right. Well, better get to getting.
Guys, we will see you next week. This has been a lot of fun. We're back. Yep. And if I still have friends by the end of the next 8 weeks, it's going to be a minor miracle. So we will see you next week, guys, for the second bracket.
Cool.